In 1964, the United States Army first adopted the M16 rifle and the 5.56 by 45 millimeter cartridge. Decades later, its shortened version, the M4, appeared. However, in the early 2000s, a different path was chosen. Special Forces began searching for a new modular system, the FN SCAR. But why did they do this? Why did SOCOM consider replacing their M4s with the SCAR? Yet the regular Army decided not to. And what new rifle and caliber is the United States creating to replace it? So, in the late 1950s, a large-scale evaluation program was conducted in the United States, presenting several rifles. The M14 rifle, using 7.62 by 51 ammunition, alongside the Belgian FNFAL rifle in the same caliber, and the more recent AR-15 rifle, with a smaller 5.56 by 45 cartridge, as well as the veteran M1 Garand in 7.62 by 63. It became clear that the leading countries were beginning to adopt lighter weapons. For a reason, the war had shown that most combat took place at distances of up to 300 meters. Therefore, an overly large cartridge could be replaced by creating a lighter one based on its case. At that time, the United States was seeking a new weapon. Different concepts and calibers were evaluated within experimental programs such as Salvo, but it was the AR-15 design with its 5.56 millimeter cartridge that caught the attention of the Air Force, which adopted it first. Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara pushed for its adoption across the Department of Defense to unify calibers, and the Army ultimately adopted it as the M16, which over time would evolve into the M4 and remain in service for many years. However, in the early 2000s, SOCOM launched a program for a new rifle, and the FN SCAR design emerged as the winner, capable of operating in both 5.56 millimeter and 7.62 millimeter calibers, with 90% of its parts interchangeable. That's when Special Forces adopted the FN SCAR. It turned out that the new rifle could offer huge advantages. The fact is that for a long time, U.S. Special Forces could not overcome the limited range, insufficient penetration, and malfunctions of the M4. They tried adding rails, optics, heavier barrels, piston kits, and improved ammunition. However, all these changes made the weapon heavier, more expensive, or louder. Whereas the FN SCAR solved those problems. By the way, the SCAR-L and the SCAR-H are from the same family, but they are not the same rifle. The SCAR-L in 5.56 millimeters was designated Mark 16, and the SCAR-H in 7.62 millimeters as Mark 17. The new rifle had several improvements over the M16 and the original M4 carbine in overall combat effectiveness. The recoil level was reduced, which increased accuracy and shooting comfort. Due to this, soldier fatigue also decreased, accuracy improved, and in the 7.62 millimeter variant, velocity and penetration capability increased, allowing the effective firing distance to grow from 400 to 800 meters. The M4 is lighter, but at the same time, the SCAR covers more tactical roles that previously required multiple weapons. It would seem that there were only advantages. But then, why did the United States Army decide not to replace the M4 with the FN SCAR for regular soldiers? They believed it was a premature decision because the M4 had already received significant improvements, and replacing it would cost billions of dollars in rifles, spare parts, and logistics. Moreover, SOCOM itself ended up retiring the SCAR-L because, after the improvements to the M4, the difference in real combat did not justify maintaining two 5.56 caliber rifles. Special Forces operators themselves preferred to stick with the M4A1. On the other hand, the 7.62 FN SCAR continued to be used by Special Forces due to its range and stopping power, where in conflicts such as Afghanistan, these advantages were very noticeable. Of course, the M16 and M4 have some advantages over the 7.62 SCAR. They are lighter, have less recoil, and allow carrying much more ammunition for the same weight. In addition, their logistics are fully standardized. However, considering all the other characteristics, the FN SCAR is more suitable as a specialized tool for special operations, where the M4 is limited. Meanwhile, the M4 is more appropriate for the regular army, as it reduces weight, the amount of resources spent on ammunition production, simplifies logistics, and facilitates training large numbers of soldiers. Today, the M4 and the FN SCAR are still doing their job, but all indications suggest they may soon lose their effectiveness. This is indirectly confirmed by the fact that the U.S. Army has begun adopting the new M7 rifle and the more powerful 6.8 by 51 millimeter cartridge to replace the M4 and the 5.56. Other countries are doing the same. New rifles and more powerful cartridges are being developed, capable of surpassing the 5.56 and 7.62 in velocity, energy, and penetration. As for external differences, for now a wider and more robust magazine can be observed, although with lower capacity, along with heavier weapons equipped with integrated suppressors. Alongside the 6.8 by 51 millimeter, other intermediate calibers had also been previously tested without official adoption, such as the 6.8 by 43, Remington SPC, which was evaluated by SOCOM. Unlike 50 years ago, this transition will require completely new platforms, such as the M7, designed from the ground up for the 6.8 by 51 millimeters. And that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. See you in the next one.